You know, it's amazing when you really stop and think about it.
What's that?
Roofing, like all the stuff you sent over, it's really wild. The whole history of it, you know, from like mud and clay to like these super high-tech materials, it really makes you wonder, like, in a world where like my phone's getting updated like every other minute,
Yeah.
why are so many roofs just kind of
Stuck in the past.
like stuck in the past?
Well, and that's kind of the big question, isn't it? Like, why is that?
Yeah.
When you look at the way roofing materials have evolved over time, it's actually a really interesting way to look at not just technology, but also how we think about shelter resources, even health over like thousands of years. So that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to kind of go on this journey from like the very first roofs to like the stuff that you could get for your house today, and hopefully kind of figure out why there's still this gap.
So, okay, you said basic protection.
Yeah.
I'm guessing a roof made of dirt, there's got to be some downsides.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Like, what were you dealing with back then?
Well, I mean, even though it was easy to find those roofs, they needed a lot of work.
Oh, really?
Constant maintenance. They were super heavy, which meant, you know, you needed a really strong structure to hold them up.
Yeah.
But the bigger problem was the weather.
Oh, yeah.
Like rain would wear them down. And if the temperature changed too much, they would crack and eventually like fall apart, you know?
Totally. Okay, so from dirt to something a little different but still natural, cedar shakes.
Yeah.
So your research shows those got popular in colonial times.
Right.
All through the 1800s, especially in places with lots of trees. So what made cedar such a good choice back then?
Well, cedar was a big improvement in a lot of ways. It was way lighter than clay, so less stress on the building. It was also a natural insulator, which would have made a big difference inside.
Yeah.
You know, keeping it warm in the winter, cool in the summer. And like you said, they look great.
Yeah, they do.
Blend right in with nature.
Yeah.
So, you know, for a long time, they were a really great option, like a big step forward in roofing tech.
But even cedar shakes, it sounds like there were some problems.
Yeah.
Your sources mentioned some limitations.
Right. So over time, good quality cedar, like the old growth stuff, started to get harder to find.
Oh, okay.
And that led to some worries about, you know,
Sustainability.
yeah, sustainability. Like, was it okay to keep cutting down all those trees?
Right, right.
So that kind of forced people to start looking for other options, new materials, new technology.
Okay, so now we get to something a little scary knowing what we know now.
A little bit, yeah.
Asbestos.
Asbestos.
Your sources talk about how it was used in roofs in the 1900s.
Right.
And at the time, it seemed like a miracle material.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what was so great about it?
Well, asbestos was like incredibly tough, fire resistant.
Okay.
And it could handle a ton of heat.
Fire resistant.
Perfect.
Right.
Strong, not too expensive, fire resistant.
This was like checking all the boxes.
It was. But what's interesting is how much we've learned since then about like how safe materials really are.
Okay, so then obviously things changed.
Yeah.
As you said, knowing what we know now.
Yeah.
Like those benefits came with a huge price.
They did. I mean, finding out that asbestos causes cancer and that it could make people really sick, that was a major turning point. It made everyone realize that you can't just think about how well something works. You also have to think about how it might affect people's health.
Long term.
Yeah, long term. And sadly, that's why a lot of you have had to, like, get rid of asbestos.
Right.
Which is expensive and a pain.
Totally. So, okay, it seems like the Industrial Revolution really shook things up.
Oh, for sure.
And that's when we get asphalt roofs.
Yep.
That's something a lot of you listening are probably familiar with. I mean, asphalt's everywhere.
It is. So, you know, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, mass production really takes off.
Yeah.
And asphalt was perfect for that. It was cheap to make, and you could make tons of shingles that were all exactly the same, which made putting on a roof way faster and easier.
Right, more efficient.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were better than wood shakes or older shingle.
And they lasted longer.
So basically, asphalt took over.
Pretty much. It changed the whole roofing industry.
Yeah. But the story doesn't end there.
Nope.
Because around the same time, the early 1900s, we get metal roofs.
We do.
That seems like another big jump forward.
It was.
Okay, so what were the big advantages there?
Well, metal roofs last a really long time.
Okay.
Like way longer than asphalt.
Oh, wow.
And they looked different.
Yeah.
More modern, kind of fit with the way architecture was changing.
Right. So if you wanted something that would last forever and looked cool, metal was a good option.
It was.
Now, I know some people have issues with metal roofs.
Hmm.
Like, what are some of the downsides?
Well, you're right. They're not perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people complain about the noise,
Yeah.
especially during storms.
Like rain or hail.
Yeah, it can get pretty loud inside.
I can imagine.
And then there's the cost.
Yeah, cost is always a factor. Metal roofs are going to be more expensive up front
Okay.
than asphalt.
And your sources mentioned something else about metal.
Depending on where you live, hail or falling branches can dent them.
Oh, right.
So that's something to think about.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so now we're getting closer to modern times.
Yep.
It seems like in the late 1900s, we start to see a lot more synthetic roofing materials.
Absolutely.
And it feels like that's when the focus shifts to things like longevity, environment,
Right.
energy efficiency.
Yeah, that's when those things really started to matter.
So what drove that change?
Well, people wanted roofs that would last longer.
Yeah.
They wanted to be more eco-friendly, and they wanted to save money on energy.
Yeah.
So you see this explosion of new materials like rubber, different kinds of plastic, composites, all engineered to be better than the old stuff.
Yeah.
They were more durable, and you could make them look like almost anything.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So even if you loved the look of like slate or cedar,
Yeah.
you could get that, but with all the benefits of a synthetic material.
Exactly. You could get the look you wanted,
Yeah.
but with a roof that would last longer,
Right.
maybe need less maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
and even save you money on your energy bills.
So it was like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so now let's talk about Enviroshake. Your sources highlight it as like a leader in roofing today.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes Enviroshake so special?
Well, it's like they took everything we've learned about roofing and combined it with, like, the latest tech. The sources mention it has top ratings for wind resistant, fire safety, impact resistance.
Yeah.
So for homeowners, that means a roof that's going to last a long time.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about it getting damaged.
Right. And it looks like cedar shakes,
Exactly.
which, a lot of people love that look.
And, Enviroshake may come at a premium upfront cost, but its lifetime cost is lower than that of Cedar Shake because you're not just paying for a roof, you're investing in one that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
So you get that cedar look,
Right.
better performance than asphalt, and you don't have to spend a ton of money on maintenance costs in the long term.
But there's one more thing about Enviroshake that really caught my eye.
Oh, what's that?
The water runoff thing.
Right.
That's pretty fascinating.
It is.
So explain that to everyone.
Okay, so basically,
Yeah.
Enviroshake has been tested by, like, independent labs, and the water is clean.
Okay.
Like, you could drink it.
Wow.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because a lot of cedar shakes are treated with chemicals,
Right.
and those chemicals can end up in the runoff.
Oh, wow.
So with Enviroshake, you can collect rainwater
Yeah.
and not worry about it being toxic.
So that's a big plus for people who are into like
Yeah.
rainwater harvesting.
Absolutely. Or
Mhm.
just being eco-friendly.
Right. It's like this hidden benefit that you wouldn't even think about.
Right. It shows you that the kind of roof you have
Yeah,
can affect more than just your house.
totally. So Enviroshake, it's like the latest and greatest.
Yeah, you could say that.
It looks classic,
Mhm.
performs amazingly, and the water runoff is safe. So, okay, we've seen this huge evolution in roofing,
Mm-hmm.
but like, here's the big takeaway.
Okay.
If we've come this far with roofs,
Yeah.
why are we still using old stuff when there's new stuff that's better?
Right.
That costs about the same in the long run
Mm-hmm.
and even has extra benefits like safe water.
It's a good question to ask.
Yeah,
It makes you think.
it does. It makes you think about all the other things in our lives that are kind of stuck,
Yeah.
where maybe we should be thinking about upgrading.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just about roofs.
Yeah.
It's about, like, how we make choices,
Mm-hmm.
about the things we use every day.
Like, do we go with what's familiar
Yeah,
or do we look for something better, even if it means changing the way we think about things?
absolutely.
So, yeah, lots to ponder.
Lots to ponder.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
It's been fun.
It has.
See you next time.
See ya.